Listen, the woods aren't that bad. Hiking gets a bad rap mostly because nobody wants to watch a movie where a bunch of teens go into the woods and their biggest problem is dehydration. I would not spend $15 on that movie. Approximately 3 million people hike the Appalachian Trail each year. Since the year 2000, only 4 people have ever been murdered there. To put that in perspective, the city of Chicago has a population of 3 million. It had 774 murders last year alone. So, really, when it comes to knife-wielding lunatics, don't get paranoid about the deep, dark woods. You're probably fine there. Now, let's talk about the lunatic in the deep, dark woods. Ronald Sanchez did 3 tours in Iraq. When he returned home to the US in 2011, he was 35 years old with debilitating injuries to his knees and back. He had watched close friends die overseas and was discharged due to depression and post-traumatic stress disorder. For years, Ron was barely able to leave his apartment. His PTSD was triggered by loud noises and made it difficult for him to interact with people. He couldn't even go to the grocery store during daylight hours. He struggled to have a relationship with his 2 children. At the Department of Veteran Affairs, therapists worked with Ron to stabilize his mood and life. One of the forms of therapy that worked for Ron was to join a local hiking group and become an avid walker. He was soon hiking 20 miles a day around his town. In 2017, he met fellow hiker Brenda Kelly and the two began dating. With his life slowly coming back together, Ron came up with an ambitious goal. He wanted to hike the Appalachian Trail, a journey of over 2,000 miles. Most hikers do only a small portion of the trail in one trip, but Ron saw conquering this hike as a sign that his trauma was behind him. Sanda Bond at the Oklahoma VA told Outdoors magazine, Ron was very clear that completing the Appalachian Trail would be a culminating point for him. Like so many veterans, he saw the trail as a safe place to process his emotions and find the self-efficacy to meet internal challenges. Knowing that his combat injuries would prevent him from hiking as fast as others, Ron started the Appalachian Trail early in the season, January 19th to be exact. Even though he began the trail in Georgia, he traveled through ice and snow. His bad knees nearly forced him to give up 500 miles in. But Ron persevered. It's a tradition on the Appalachian Trail for fellow hikers to give you a nickname. Ron's determination, will, and distinguished military career led him to being nicknamed Stronghold. By May, Ron had begun hiking with a loose group of 3 others, including a couple that were hiking together and a single woman named Kirby Morrill. The group traveled the trail together and pitched tents at night, sharing resources and providing companionship. On May 10th, the group was in Southern Virginia. Like any other night, they pitched their tents and settled in. But, unfortunately, this was one of the rare occasions where there was something to fear in the deep, dark woods. Other hikers in the area had taken to social media to warn their fellow hikers of a man acting erratic and even threatening. This man was James Jordan. It was later revealed that he had been arrested on the trail 3 weeks previously for threatening hikers with a machete. Jordan pleaded guilty but was released on probation and made his way back to the trail with his pit bull. When Jordan showed up at their campsite, Ron and his fellow hikers recognized him from the social media post. But at first, Jordan wasn't violent. He simply seemed to be very confused. Then he began threatening the hikers and said he'd pour gasoline on their tents as they slept. It's unclear exactly what happened next, but we know that Jordan pulled out a knife and chased the hikers that were part of a couple. The 2 of them ran for help. Ron Sanchez tried to talk the man down and was stabbed. He went down but managed to activate the emergency GPS signal as he laid bleeding. The final hiker, Kirby Morrill, was chased through the woods by Jordan. He stabbed her multiple times until she fell to the ground. Bleeding from several stab wounds, she somehow had the presence of mind to lie still and play dead. On a related note, we're thinking of changing the name of this channel to Badass Women Thinking Fast. Once Jordan thought Kirby was dead, he wandered off into the woods. She stumbled to her feet and went to get help, hiking 6 incredible miles to call 911. Later in court, Kirby would say, I pride myself on practicality, and while I believe that my actions that night were objectively the best choices I could have made given the situation that was thrust upon me, I will never forgive myself for not trying to go to Ron before making my way out of the forest. At 6:14 a.m., police arrived at the campsite. They were too late to save Ronald Sanchez. The Army vet, beloved father, survivor, and friend died in the early morning hours of May 11, 2019. But while his final act, activating his emergency GPS, didn't save his life, it did prevent Jordan from getting away with it. The signal allowed police to find Ron's body, even in the woods in the dim light of dawn. Jordan's pit bull was still at the campsite, and when police arrived, they followed the animal only a short distance before it sat at the feet of its owner. James Jordan was covered in blood. The court ordered a psych evaluation for Jordan, and he was found to suffer from acute psychosis and schizoaffective disorder. 2 doctors advised the court that Jordan was unable to appreciate the wrongfulness of his acts, and he was found not guilty by reason of insanity. That doesn't mean he'll go free, though. Jordan is in a confined psychiatric institution, and according to a statement from the court, until he has recovered from his mental disease or defect to the extent that his release would no longer create a substantial risk of bodily injury to another or serious damage to property of another. Undergoing consistent treatment for the first time in his life, Jordan has regained enough sanity to release a statement through his lawyer, who said, "Mr. Jordan is deeply remorseful for the profound sorrow he has caused. He regrets that his lifelong battle with mental illness ultimately resulted in this trauma and loss for innocent hikers and their families. He would like the victims and the family of Mr. Sanchez to know that he thinks about the damage he caused every day and that he would do anything to change the past if he could." Since the 70s, deep cuts to mental health services have meant that many people are unable to afford or even find treatment for their problems. It's possible that Jordan, with treatment and medication, could become a healthy and harmless member of society. But his surviving victim, Kirby Morrill, struggles to accept the decision. In her victim impact statement, she wrote, "Mr. Jordan is mentally ill. I understand. And while I have some compassion for mental illness in general, I am sure you'll forgive me for saying that I can find none for him. It is anguishing to have him labeled not guilty in any fashion, though I accept the legal ramifications of those words are very different from the effect they have on me. Keep that man under lock and key. Keep him from harming anyone else. He has demonstrated that he is an unwavering danger to those around him, and I cannot bear the thought of him inflicting upon anyone else what he has on me and on Ron." Kirby Morrill lives with scarring from her attack. In her statement to the court, she explained that her appearance causes surprises and jokes, such as people asking if she was injured juggling chainsaws. But like Ron Sanchez, Kirby Morrill refuses to let trauma take over her life. She's decided to head back to the Appalachian Trail. In an article published in Outside, she said, "I am statistically more likely to die in a car crash than I am on the trail. It's just pretty bad luck, a complete fluke that I got stabbed. And even if I was scared, are you really going to let a little fear stop you from what you want to do in life?" Thanks for watching Beyond Crime. If you'd like to support more true crime content, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below.